So here's the box of goodies. First up, the PiFace Digital for Raspberry Pi should add some fun options and new things that we can do with the Raspberry Pi. Also, two more Makey-Makeys. We got some of these last summer for the Minecraft Pi camp that I ran, and these are great tools. Use these with the 4th and 5th graders in Scratch and with middle schoolers on some projects there. So picked up two more of those for the Scratch workshop. A roll of conductive copper tape, and similarly some Bear Paint conductive electric paint, which can do all kinds of fun stuff in conjunction with the Makey-Makey. And then finally the Super Scratch Programming book, which I think is going to be a great resource for students working on Scratch projects. Getting started with the PiFace Digital, the first thing I want to do is take the Raspberry Pi out of its case. This is a nice simple case for the Pi, but it prevents access to the GPIO pins down here, so I need to take this top cover off. So after just a little bit of fussing around, I got the top case off of the Raspberry Pi, so we got access to the GPIO pins now. So now the PiFace Digital, hello, can get pulled out of the box and popped onto the GPIO pins. Here's the PiFace Digital itself. As you can see, it's a separate board from the Raspberry Pi, and it's going to add on there. And whoops, the set of connectors right here is really important. That's where it's going to actually attach to the GPIO pins of the Raspberry Pi. So if we flip it over, we can see that. So here's our Pi, and then this guy is going to just sit right on top. And it's nice and snug right there. Get a little bit of standoff from the solder joints, it looks like, on these guys against that audio jack. So it's at a little bit of an angle. Just want to make sure that everything looks good there. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So you can start to see the different places where you could connect something to the PiFace. And that's it. So we've got our tactile switches here. Got places to connect here, and around here, and around here. So now it's a matter of diving into some of the documentation that comes with it and is available online. Actually, it doesn't really come with any documentation or much. Most of the documentation is available online, so I'll put links to that stuff in there. So that's the Pi plus the PiFace Digital. So it took a little bit of playing around, but I finally have got the PiFace Digital hooked up to Scratch on the Raspberry Pi, and the work that was involved was updating Raspbian and installing some packages for the PiFace Digital, running some fairly obscure commands in Scratch, which you can find in the links here, having to look on the piface.org site a bunch, and having to go to the GitHub site for the PiFace Digital Scratch Handler to find out how to actually run it, since the icon wasn't showing up on the desktop. But after all that good stuff, all that craziness, I finally got it set up now, so when I press one of the physical buttons on the PiFace Digital, it will change the color effect on the Scratch sprite, and it will also turn the output LED on the PiFace Digital on output number 8 right there. It'll turn that on as well. So here's the Scratch code. So it says if the input 1 sensor value goes to 1, which means that it's been pressed, that's one of the buttons that's built in, then it changes the color effect. And I also had it turn on the PiFace output 8 LED. Waits half a second, and that's a debouncing technique, so that the color effect isn't changing a bunch of times, and then it turns the LED off as well. So here we go. So I'm going to press the button right here. You can see the LED go on, and if we look at the screen, you can see when I press the button, you can see the PiFace Digital Scratch Handler here in the background, and it's getting the information off the button there, and it's sending it to the LED as well. I'll make this window a little bit smaller so we can see both of those things happen in there. Whoops. There we go. So when I press the button, you can see the PiFace Scratch Handler is sending it stuff, and Scratch itself is also changing as well. So kind of a lot of work to get that all up and running, but once it is, there's a lot of possibility for neat new stuff in Scratch on the Raspberry Pi with the PiFace Digital.